Yo, GM. How's everybody doing today? Let me get a GM in the chat. If you guys can hear me, or if I need to adjust my volume, let me know. GM, this beautiful Wednesday, September 11th. I'm going to get this stream going in a minute. Getting a couple GMs popping through. Volume is good. Oh, a couple new faces I see. Always happy to see new people joining the streams. GM to Radu 779 and Kima Mongi, familiar face seeing here. How you boys doing today? Jaguar Cat, another familiar face. GM, everyone. GM. Okay, well, since the volume is good, and we got a couple of you guys here, let's just do these usual things. Welcome to Astrology for Men. I am 0xRapture, where I'll chart any shitcoin with a pulse. Doesn't matter the market cap. So long as we've got a little bit of market structure to work with, we can chart anything. A reminder that we're brought to you by The Daily Edge. Don't forget to subscribe at thedailyedge.com/subscribe. We're a daily newsletter that provides actionable insights, intel, and information from the previous day on chain, written by the one and only legendary on-chain wizard himself. Again, that's a free newsletter that goes out daily, with just a look back on what occurred, all the hottest trends of the day, where the majority of capital was placed, what were the largest inflows and outflows, where attention is currently focused in the market, things like that. Also dabbles a little bit into sex pairs as well from the attention dashboard. Just great way to download the previous 24 hours into your brain if you don't have time to be on chain 24/7 like some of us are. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoy what I'm doing here, if you're finding it helpful, knowledgeable, if you're getting learning how to take a proper trade setup, learning how to market a chart yourself. Just always appreciated for everyone that's liking or subscribing or commenting, or all three. It helps the show to grow a little bit, and the more the show grows, the more I can keep doing this. The intention is to put out 2 to 3 streams per week. Been keeping to that pretty well. Been doing about 2 per week. I think last week there was only 1, but the market wasn't giving us too much to work with. So provided that there's stuff going on, we can always have a stream. Actually, we did a bit of an impromptu one over the weekend too, where we just took a look at majors, and I had a chat with my good friend Too Tall. I know some of you guys sat in on that. That was a good time. It was long though. It was almost 4 hours long. We were just hanging out, shooting the shit, looking at majors. We got into a couple shit coins too, and we'll do that from time to time. I know that Too Tall and I have discussed putting together some sort of a show more related to memes and how we're discovering them, researching them, trading them, things like that. So that's for a future show. GM to the Fosco, GM to Hermit. So some new faces and some familiar ones. Always great to see. Appreciate everyone that's coming out. Okay. Don't forget that there are links in the description below, as always. But we can get to all that stuff afterwards. So what's going on? Let's pull up the majors, as I tend to do at the beginning of these streams. See what we're working with. Give me 1 second. Oh, I don't even have the app opened yet, so maybe I'll do that first. Give me a second. I don't even have TradingView open. That's unlike me. I was having a little bit of internet troubles before I started the stream. I managed to get it under control just at the nick of time. So not fully set up as I usually do. I was having an issue with my VPN. But here we go. Let me get me out of the way. Let's go full screen here. And one more. There we go. Okay. Well, it had been red this morning. BTC had sold off almost like 3%, I think, but it was looking like we're rebounding a large chunk of that, which is a good sign. Let's just zoom in here. This was some stuff that so we went on the impromptu different stream that we did over the weekend with my buddy. I ran back to the drawing board on ETH, BTC, Sol, and a few other coins. Yeah, I mean, decent recovery of that whole sell-off this morning. And look at that, BTC just flipped green by 0.02%. So that's a good sign. Definitely a good sign. We'll have to keep monitoring that. This was something that I drew on that stream. I don't know. I still think we're going to experience more chop and eventually come somewhere over here, end of September, early October. And I was just being cheeky on that other stream, and I drew all the way. Oh, that box isn't on here. It was on a different chart. I drew a box up here. I was like, okay, maybe this is what's going to play out. We'll see. That was on a different BTC chart, though. I think I posted it on my X account. Okay, well, that's a good sign. ETH still lagging a bit. I mean, overall, we're still on the majors, all three, like BTC, ETH, and Sol, are all in daily bearish structure. Daily bearish. There's your ranges, right? There's your ranges, bearish ranges. But we're sort of getting these interim ranges occurring. And it looks like BTC wants to, I mean, it kind of has to come all the way back up here. But anyways, we're not here to look at majors. We're here to look at on the on-chain pairs, which is where my specialty lies. So let me switch screen and we'll get a look. Only a few requests today. We got 10. Of course, if anyone has any more requests while we're doing the show, please feel free to either drop it in the comments, or if you're a member of the Astrology for Men Telegram group, you can drop those requests into the chart request channel and I'll see them during the stream. So let's pull up the list that we're looking at. Where is it? Here we go. So yeah, as I was saying, bit of a shorter list today, but that's okay. We can get to this stream. Hopefully we can do it in like an hour would be great. Maybe it'll keep people's attention and retention a little bit longer. I know that they can get a little bit long-winded from time to time as I'm running through the setups and outlining my system and how I view them each time and giving you guys step by step, which I think is super helpful. I mean, that's what helped me when I was learning, was watching streams of guys that were outlining the process in every stream. And yeah, it gets repetitive, but that's exactly what trading is. And that's exactly what TA is. You know, you want a repeatable system that is based off a sequence of setups and triggers that you can rely on, that once those things occur, you have a trade to take. So that's all that it really is. It's just repetition is the key to success for trading. And I do actually think I see in the chat request channel some things coming in, so we'll get to them. I'll add those in a little bit. But let's start off with what we have here. Don't know if you guys noticed, but in the opening banner or the thumbnail for the stream, had a couple things in there. My wife is the one that makes those for me. Like I send her the memes that I want involved on the main Astrology for Men banner, and then she just incorporates them. That was pretty funny with the debate with them huffing galaxy gas. Thought that was pretty funny, since there's been a bit of a trend with the young kids these days huffing galaxy gas. So I thought it was pretty funny to see them huffing that. So I have that coin on this list. As always, I'll short by volume. And we'll take a look at what we've got going on. And I'll start, we'll clean the charts up and we'll start fresh. And as always, if you guys have any questions as we're going along, feel free to ask away. So let's take a look at Ether Vista, see what we've got going on here. Okay, so this had been a super bullish chart from, when was this? Almost 2 weeks ago now was when it had that first really major rally run up. Kind of cooled a bit, consolidating quite a bit actually after that run. It's still in bullish structure on H12, but let's just clear everything off and we can start fresh so you guys can see what I'm saying. So we want to go to the highest time frame with structure, which is a sequence of swing lows and swing highs outlining your market structure. Yes, there is demand here on daily, but I don't like that it's not a proper swing low. You guys know, for me, a swing is a 3-candle pattern with a low, a high, a low for a swing high, and a high, a low, a high for a swing low. And on daily, I'm not seeing that, although I will outline the swing high there. Come down to H12, another case of things not lining up across time frames, but it's okay. So H12, what do we have here? We have our demand with our range, the swing low, created a high, making a higher high. That's why that's your range. Let's readjust this to here for H12. Here's where it broke structure higher to be bullish. So we're in this H12 demand. We can outline this, but I really don't think it's ever going to come back down there. We're in this H12 demand. It's been pretty choppy. I can see that kind of lost, well, not kind of, it lost that, but that's within structure, within the demand that you're looking for. What I think is more important was I was monitoring this on H4, and there was, you can see here was your H4 bottom of your range, and it closed below that yesterday. And as soon as that happened, I knew that we were going to see further selling, just because your H4 range had shifted from a bullish structure, which had been clinging on to a bearish range on H4. Now, we all know, as I've outlined before, that you can have a high time frame trend in one direction, but a lower time frame counter trend. And that's what we have here on H4. And even look, H4 last candle just printed another lower low. So that's something to be aware of. We just got a new H4 lower low. So I think ultimately this is really wanting to test the bottom of this H12 range to find out if it still has bullish momentum. It's been struggling with, it's an, so Vista is a launch pad. It's a new DEX / launch pad that has had a lot of activity. But like with any launch pad, you're going to get coins that do well and coins that don't do as well. They were doing pretty well for the first little while, but I think they've sort of cooled. But I think that also is tracking general on-chain vibes at the moment. You know, we had the debate yesterday and wasn't overly bullish from a crypto perspective. Like 0 things were said about crypto. This is a political stream by any means, but the market took it as a slightly bearish indicator that Trump was handled during that debate, and it looked as though Kamala was the stronger, at least speaker, and potential candidate. So the market took that as a little bit bearish, and we saw some selling throughout the debate and then afterwards and this morning. I think this morning some more of the selling was related to the CPI data came in positive. And lately we've been seeing that good news is bad for the markets and bad news is bad for the markets. So it's a bit telling of where the market is right now. Like, people are not overly risk on, especially for larger capital bases, for people trading things like BTC in the ETFs and whatnot, which is where we're a lot more correlated now. And even the SPX is down today, although it's recovered a lot of what it has lost. Sorry, I'm getting a little sidetracked on all that, but I'm just trying to give broad information about how I'm viewing the market right now and how I'm trading things. So anyways, Vista made a new lower low on H4 Now we're not sure if this is going to be the bottom of the range yet. It very well could be, but we have to wait for, if this candle closes like that, then yes, that would be the bottom of the H4 range. We don't know yet, but I suspect we'll see some more selling through this. Really, the best RR to me would be an H12 move down somewhere, maybe even to the bottom of the range. can almost guarantee you people have some limit orders set there, so I think we'll get a reaction from there. We'll just have to see what happens. Other thing you can look at, though, is this was also an H12 swing level, and if this just ends up as an H12 sweep, well, then there could be your trigger as well. It's too early to tell. Yes, H4 lost the level, but H12 is trading below it, so if that also makes an H12 lower low, the probability of this becomes that much higher. But this is still in a wait and see. Like if you're in this coin right now and your thought is, do I sell or not? Well, I don't think you sell here because we're so close to finding a potential reversal that I don't think now is the time to be selling. Like the time to sell would have been once it made that and closed back below the previous all-time high and started showing some rejection off the level, but now it's a little bit late for that. If you're looking for a way to get in this coin, well, as I said, there's two triggers that I would look for. This H12, which 6.5 hours to go, so that's a long time. This very well could close as a sweep. That would be your trigger. Now you'll probably get some lower prices again with the preceding candles after that close, because if this does end up creating a swing low, it's going to be a 3-candle pattern, and usually there's some dip back down below that, especially on high time frame. But I would just watch H4. Like we're waiting to find out what this range is. Off H4, a way that you could play this is wherever the bottom is. If you get a sweep at that bottom again, then you could go long, or if you reclaim, like if this ends up being the definitive H4 range, if you get an H4 close above here, then you look to buy demand somewhere here for a higher low. At the moment, I would say there isn't a trade at the moment, unless you want a knife catch, but that's not the move to me. Like even yesterday, I saw people talking about, oh, I'm buying this. This is the bottom. Well, we don't know that, especially since you just broke a fairly significant time frame. Like H4 isn't a nothing time frame, right? Like, especially if you're looking daily, then H4 would be the next time frame down to monitor. Even on H12, you could be monitoring H4 just for riding the momentum. And this is close enough to here. Like we're close enough. So what is that? It's like, say that ends up being the bottom and you're like, okay, I didn't buy that, but then so there's 27% from here, but say it gets to close above, but then you'd be wanting to buy somewhere here. So you're really not losing, you're not losing that much by buying with the trend. I've said this before, everyone loves to be, especially in crypto, everyone loves to be a hero that bottom ticked so they can, grab clout and show off on the timeline or whatnot. But no one ever got people that try to do that end up the opposite of a hero more often than not, and keep buying lower and lower and losing capital. And as you guys know, I have two main priorities or intentions with these streams. The first is to help you make money, and the second is to prevent you from losing capital. Although in the grander scheme of things in trading, usually the first priority is to prevent yourself from losing capital or minimizing losses is usually lesson one. But we'll just help you skip forward, and we try to just look at bullish charts. So we'll stick with help you make money as priority number one, and help you preserve capital or minimize losses as priority two. So yeah, you're gonna have to wait for this to finish forming. Like I don't even know if there's a point of looking at H1. I mean, yeah, you could say, okay, if H1 recaptures this, but you're still dealing with the bearish H4 range. So say H1 closes above this level here, because why would that matter? Because it would switch H1 back to bullish because a higher high. Well, then you'd probably buy somewhere here. somewhere here as a higher low. We don't know yet. We'll have to see how that unfolds. With your aim being, okay, maybe it'll trade back to the top of this H4 range. But for now, I think let's just find out what happens when that closes. You have 2.5 hours to go. If you get a swing low, you can start to base a trade around. It's just like when a range is starting to form and you don't know what the range fully is yet, preemptively trying to figure that out is just, it's overall going to be a losing game. Oh, got a little comment from Hermit here. Rumor that Kamala was wearing those Bluetooth earring things. Yeah, I think I shared that with a couple people. I'm not sure if I shared it in the AFM chat, but I shared it in a couple private groups. And yeah, I saw that. Well, yeah, I understand this comment, and I believe that as well from viewing most of her impromptu speaking. But something that I didn't realize because I'm not too interested in U.S. politics was that she was a prosecutor, and you can't be dumb to be a prosecutor. At least I would hope not. So maybe the way that she's presented herself up until now was an act, or maybe last night was an act. Who knows? Either way, she probably had help throughout that, and all of it's an act on both sides, though. Anyways, let's move along. Okay, Kate, this coin has been bullish. See, we're getting some bullish looking coins, right? So this one launched. It's the cat friend of Nero, I believe is what. Let's take a look. Part of the Dogeverse, born from Own the Doge tweet based on Ethereum. I'm pretty sure the team behind Doge tweeted or something about this. Rumor is I don't know if it's the exact same cabal, but it's like they're trying to run the Nero playbook. And this one actually popped up fairly early on ChainEDGE, and I saw it in some groups as well. Let's take a look. I think, yeah, on ChainEDGE, I think the earliest alert I got for it was around 400K. So over here, that would have been a really great trade to take. Trouble is, like, when you're getting those alerts, are you just blind aping them? Up until recently, blind aping hasn't been a great strategy, but that one would have yielded really good. It moved pretty quickly. Let's clean it up. Let's take a look. Let's see. I don't think daily. No, we're not working. We don't have anything to work with yet on daily. H12. Not much to work with yet. Like, there's the FFG right there, but I don't really. I mean, we can outline that and just say maybe if it comes back down in here. It's so narrow, though. We'll see. I'm not going to base analysis off that. Okay, so H4, we're working with some stuff here. I'm just going to delete this, actually, because I don't think it's useful. Watch. It's like tomorrow it hits that perfectly. Maybe I'll re-add it. Let's see. Okay, so let's outline a couple spots. Swing level there on H4. That's kind of interesting. H4, you're getting that sweep of that level, which means that, truthfully, we're still in this range. Is there a swing? Oh, yeah, just by 0.01 million, that is lower. So you actually do have a swing low here. Here's your H4 demand. Why is that demand? Well, here's your swing low. That created the high. Above this high, creating a higher high. There's your range. There's the top of your range. It hasn't broken above or closed above this. So this is still the top of the range. This is the range. Now, what might happen here, though, because yes, you do have an area of demand here. And on H1, I guarantee you that closed above. Let's take a look. Yeah, H1, you got the close above. So what you might be looking for is some sort of sweep here that maybe even tags this H4 demand. Like, say you get this comes down and goes with a super quick sweep into there, like just people with limit orders just bought it up, barely has any time to spend down there. Like that's probably not a bad area to set limit orders on that level there. So I would be looking for something like that. If we drop down even lower to H1, yeah, we can see that this closed above, and there would be your demand, which is already touched demand. Yeah, it's already touched demand here twice. And on H1, that's what you're working with. Here's your H1 range. Why is that your H1 range? Well, because you got a low that created a high, breaking the previous high, making a higher high. So there's your H1 demand. This could be where the bottom forms. We don't know yet. Probably not a bad idea if you can get deeper in here, as close to the bottom as possible. But I mean, that chart is looking very fucking bullish. Like I wonder, can I draw something here that, oh, look at that. Yeah. Okay. So say it holds that trend line. Right? Like you guys know that I'm not a huge fan of the meme lines, but when they're fairly obvious like that, kind of hard to ignore when they line up so perfectly like that. I mean, H4 is a little less important, but you know, there it is right there. Riding that trend line. Now, if it breaks the trend line, doesn't mean that there's no trade to be had. It just means that this momentum has stopped, and then I'd be looking for the higher low, right? Which I would probably be looking for on H4. But right now, if you're just really short-term trading it, like look at how perfectly that got bought up off that, right? Like, you know, 50% move. ETH gas is pretty cheap these days. Put on a decent size. That's a nice trade. And there's always a trade to be had somewhere. You just have to know where to look for them and know what you're looking for. And guys, when you have a strong trend like that just keep grinding up, like start like placing meme lines is tough because they're open to interpretation, and they're less cut and dry in terms. Like for me, market structure is cut and dry. There's really no way to misinterpret a swing low to a swing high, breaking market structure to create a higher high, or breaking market structure lower to create a lower low. Yes, some people do base it off of wicks solely. Like it doesn't matter. Like the range will be defined by their wicks, but then if you get a wick above, that's what they're taking as the new range. To me, that doesn't make any sense because a wick above is just clearly telling you that there wasn't buying demand there. There was sell pressure and supply above that level, so that range is not broken. Like when you think about a range that way, and why the way that I'm defining range that is taught to me by Trader Main, which is where I learned how to define those ranges for the most part. Little bits of input from Trader XO as well as Cred. But the majority of how I define ranges is based off of Trader Main's system. And if you drill down to the basics of defining the range and why a range is a range, it really becomes pretty apparent why a wick above or a wick below doesn't change the range. Because in that moment, if you're getting a wick, okay, let's switch this back to H4 here, right? Let's get rid of this. Here's your range. Why is the range not here now instead of here? Well, because Price is coming up into here, and then immediately sellers are stepping in, and there's no buying demand to create a new range. So it's telling you that this is still the range that price wants to trade within. Yes, it's traded above momentarily, but it never got a close above there, which means that it's not getting acceptance above that level, that this is still the trading range that price is being accepted within. And all that a range is, and especially when you get like middle of the range, what that is telling you is that's the market telling you it's fair value. So at the moment, there's your range. But on H1, H1 has told you it's having an idea that it wants to go higher based off of H1. You just need to get the higher time frame close above. So, buying into here is not a bad idea. Hermit has another question here. Can you choose the middle candle in a swing pattern for demand? Let me see if I know what you mean. The middle candle. Oh, look at that, getting selling into it. Like, I do think it comes down lower, and I do think, given the sweeps on H4, like look at before H4, it never swept the level. It just definitively closed above. Now we're starting to see, okay, 20 million is where people think they should be taking profit. The middle candle, okay, he had a follow-up point. So can you choose the middle candle in a swing pattern for demand? I've been using the red candles like 100% of the time when boxing off demand. So if you're doing the classic order block technique of boxing out demand, I don't really want to remove everything off this chart. Maybe I can go find a different chart real quick and let's take a look. So yeah, let's open this for a second. I'll get rid of everything on here because we're going to start fresh anyways. So let's find a time frame that would make, okay, here. If you're just doing ICT strictly order block type demand, here, that's your demand. That's your order block. That's your demand. And that's a perfectly acceptable way of outlining demand. For me personally, given how many on-chain charts I've looked at, traded, analyzed, et cetera, I know that there's a very high probability that it wants to come and test the swing low. Now this only has the swing high in the candle that we're dealing with, so I can't really do a different cluster on this particular one, but for me, the reason why I incorporate that little nub there, that wick, is because I know that in greater than 50% of the time, there's a chance it wants to test, even sweep it down there. So that's why I put that whole area as demand. Now, even on some systems, like in ICT, you'll see people even just do that, right? Just the body. Let's see there. They'll do just the body. It's not how I like to do it. It could work for whoever's doing it that way. Something to remember about boxing out demand or supply, it's just a tool to highlight the region where you want to be looking for a trend reversal, whether that's bullish or bearish, whether you're looking at a demand, so bullish, or supply, bearish. And so I like to look for the entire region where I would be looking for that to occur. Because let's find okay, I want to find a chart where I have a little bit more of a, okay, so here we had a swing high. Like, let's just say that this had created this, and we don't know about any of this yet. So here was your range. Say none of this over has occurred yet. There was your range. You got a break above. I often like to incorporate in my demand the swing level, the previous swing high, as the higher high break level, because look at how it just tagged that. Like if we were to just draw this demand, well, you didn't get a trade there. Even doing this, it didn't even quite come into there, which is why context of the price action proceeding is important, because this is all a cluster where selling was occurring and then eventually found a bottom and buyer stepped in and sent it higher. So, there's your cluster, higher high, came in and tagged just the higher high breakout level and sent. And I wonder, okay, so you're saying how would you have, I guess the next question would be, say you're in that scenario. Say you're in that scenario and you're like, okay, I've boxed that out. What am I looking for as a trigger? Well, let's take a look and see what we had on lower time frame, because that early in the chart you could have been looking at M15 still, right? Okay. Break above. You didn't even quite get a tag into that demand. So this one was a bit tougher, but eventually, say you're here and you're watching an M15, you're like, how do I get on board this thing? Well, there was your break higher. And look at that. There it is right there. And you're still within that H4 demand, right? You're within that H4 demand, but you got an M15 trigger to go off right there. And that early into the chart, it would have been perfectly fine to still be monitoring for entries and exits on M15. Now, even earlier when it created, like there was also trades here, right? Like broke higher, although it did actually lose the M15 over here. So there's a lot of chop. These are just things that come with time and understanding what to look for and having enough experience, in real time as things unfold to get sort of a gut feel for it. I know it's never great to, at least for me, I don't like trading off of gut, but sometimes the experience is the difference. So let me just pop. Did we finish? Vista, we finished, right? Yeah, Vista, we were all good. Vista, we were good. Kate, we were all good. Let's see what's happening, because we didn't fully finish Kate. Yeah, so I think H4, you're looking for something down into here. Unless this is going to hold. Very well could hold. Very well could hold. What I don't see, the one difference that occurred here, though, was the difference between this H1 breakout and this one was, look how much shallower that was than this. This broke out and went up, expanded quite a bit from the breakout. You had quite a, large difference in expansion, which is why I think this is what something down into here is more appealing. Sorry to jump around there. I just wanted to make sure that I finished that thought on that. Okay, so back to Doge. Let's reset again. Let's clear the drawings. Let's just start fresh. So what do I see right now? We're retesting this daily, the previous daily all-time high. It came down and tagged it with a reaction so far. You're almost guaranteed for something like a daily breakout when it comes back down that you're going to get some kind of reaction there. It just depends on whether you're going to get good follow through or not. So far, it's a bit muted. We can switch down to H12, see what we're looking for. I wonder, was that? Okay, so here's your H12 demand. Hasn't tagged it yet. There's your swing low. There's your swing high on H12. There's your higher high break, although, even this is your higher high break. So maybe that's all that you're going to get off H12. Like that could be it could just be a tease where it doesn't even come down there and it's front run by the previous all-time high. Yet to be seen. Still a ways away to go till H12 close. So this could even, come down and puncture that and close back above there. That's pretty bullish. We have H4 overlapping the H12 right in here. Here's your H4 range low. So I think it just seems like such a tease that it wouldn't come down and tag that H12 demand. And given that there's the bottom of the H4 range here, I would be looking for some sort of sweep there and to hold the bottom of this H4 range. Because if it loses the bottom of the H4, then bottom of the H12 is way more likely. But you can be starting to think about looking for an entry somewhere around here. I mean, even there, you had an M15 break in structure right there. Right? This was the high that created the low, creating the lower low on M15. You had an M15 break of structure there. And then you've got your M15 demand. So you could be thinking about taking a trade based off of that. Come on. Oh, where'd that swing go? There, okay. So you could be saying, okay, I think this is where I want my trade to, this is what I want to base my trade off of. I think M15 on this chart now, given that it's 3 weeks old, it's not a reliable signal. There's just too much price action in history. And I mean, still got 4.6 mil daily volume, still high volume, which is great. Moonar, GM, good to see you, buddy. You could take a trade based off of that. Your invalidation would be a close below here, but then the problem is your invalidation would be so close to where I'm actually thinking you're looking for the trade, which is why I don't love that on M15. H1 would have to close above here. So I don't know. I would say don't rely on the M15 here. What we could be looking for, though, like H1 might be a better trigger to go off. So here's an interesting one. There's a triple layer of a trigger that could unfold here that I could see taking place. That would be quite bullish. Would be an H1 sweep down deeper into H4, tagging the top of the H12 demand with an H1 close as a sweep back above this level. That would be quite bullish. Or if you get the close below here on H1, but the tag into here, you could take that trade just based off of having a trigger off the H12 demand, or you wait for an H1 reclaim, depending on if this ends up being the top of a range and you get a swing low down here, or just a reclaim up here, which really isn't that big of a move, right? Like say you get that tag, you end up getting a close back above here. I mean, 43%, it's a pretty big move. But if you're saying, okay, I think this is going to reverse and go back to all-time highs, and then you're looking for some sort of higher low here after reversal, like say you go boom, boom, boom. So say you get something here You know, like I think this is going back to all-time highs. Well, you know, you're just buying with trend. But remember, you're still bullish. H12, H4, daily, all of that. It's just M1 or H1 and below. You're bearish. Actually, that was a lie because M15 is flipped. I don't think that's going to be the bottom, truthfully. That's what I would look for on Doge. Moving along, Nero. I think I added this one. So I had written Nero off. Like when it closed below here on daily, I was like, oh, thing is done. And there was aggressive selling. There was a lot of FUD too. I mean, it's not unwarranted. The accounts, the KOLs that were airdropped this token, they had a vest on the tokens they were airdropped of when they could start selling. And when you know, selling, the vest ended here. And then what happened? And what happened around here was there was a Bybit listing. So what I heard what was happening was they were just selling their spot while shorting. Insider information about Binance listing the coin. I'm sure they're in talks with them all through here. They've sold all their spot. They close their shorts, so double profiting. And like this sounds conspiracy, but this is actually what was taking place. Close their shorts, flip, and buy spot in anticipation of the Binance listing and go long. Now, there was a trigger that I missed when it closed above here. There was a daily swing high right there, like the tiniest swing. And as soon as it closed above there, there was a trigger to go long. I posted that in the AFM group chat after the fact because I had completely missed it. You now made a new daily higher high when it closed above there. This is your daily demand at present. I can remove some of this stuff so you guys can see. Maybe I'll remove this too, and we can just really drill down and see how it is that you would have had to have been analyzing this to catch that. Because it's like to the naked eye, wouldn't have been as easy to see. But this was initially a supply because you can see that right there. There's the tiniest little wick creating a swing high. This was initially a supply zone with your range, bearish range there. You got a daily close above, which flipped this bullish with a higher high break. You got a couple tags in there to be able to get long. So that was your first trigger. But since then, we've also had, so then this was your swing high. After that move, that was your range, but a massive range, right? But there's your swing high. You got a higher high above again. So there's your demand. Now, initially, I had it drawn off this level, which I think is actually more accurate for the close above, just because that was a significant area that it flipped as resistance into support now, or at least the probability is that's flipped into support. But we can also see that this level here that was a pretty important daily level is now, look, it slammed right into it and dead stopped on it and is now acting as so far resistance. I think you can still say you're looking for a higher low to form somewhere in here. This thing is getting a crazy amount of volume on sexes for perch trades. I believe after BTC, ETH, and Sol, it's the next highest volume pair, maybe after Pepe. But that's pretty significant considering how recently it was listed. So provided that the triggers are bullish, like you're going to get sex traders who know what the fuck they're doing trading this thing. And I mean, look right here. What do we have right here? There's an H4 demand that it held the bottom on. So you're going to find, especially now that this is traded on a SEX, that these levels are respected really clean just because of the level of trader. Now, not everyone that's trading SEX pairs is good. A lot of them are really horrible, just like anywhere. But you've got a lot more professional traders trading on these instruments. So you're going to find things like that. But it's also a market-made coin now. So you're going to get some fuckery with people trying to take out stops. And I was talking about why I like to incorporate the swing low into demand. Well, there's a prime example, right? Like there was a stop hunt for people who had stops below the swing low to try and stop them out and liquidate them before it went higher. So maybe that's going to be the higher low. To push up past this, yet to be seen. But there's a trade there. I think if you're going to trade Nero now, if you have a SEX account, it may be a better avenue to trade than on-chain, just given you're going to, like, this move here is done. This massive explosive move, which was something like, I don't know, 300%. Oh, not even close. It was 750%. Like, you're not looking for that to happen again. Maybe this hits $1 billion market cap, but that's going to take longer to occur. But now that it's traded on SEXs, like a more reasonable amount of you could be looking, even a 25% move, put that on low leverage, like 5x leverage. It's a good trade, right? So I might recommend, if you do want to trade someone like this now, to do it on a SEX, because your fees are just going to be so much lower than trying, like, say you're going for a 10% move on something like this, or even a 25% move. Like, you're going to be eating away more at fees trading this on-chain on Ethereum than if you were on a SEX. Now, I much prefer trading on-chain, and I don't like centralized exchanges. I try to use them as infrequently as possible. There may actually be some perps dexes that you can trade this on. I'm not sure. I haven't taken a look to see if it's been listed anywhere, but there might be a few that you can actually trade this on a perps dex, which would be better for fees. Probably something that operates on Arbitrum. Like, I wonder if Hyperliquid has the pair or one of those type of dexes. I would look to trade that there rather than doing this spot, unless you're trying to buy and hold for long term. If that's your case, though, like, I would wait for a higher time frame, maybe pull back. I would, try and get if you're going to try and buy this to hold for a long period of time, I would try and get somewhere deeper into here, into this demand. There's the bottom of your swing low. I would try and get somewhere deeper into here. Okay, moving along. Landwolf was a request that came in. Haven't charted this one in a while. Bit of a, it belongs to that category of tokens that launched during the summer months, and I've said a few times in a couple of a couple chats, that coins launched during the summer have kind of become cursed coins. Like, so many of them just keep bleeding out and bleeding out. Doesn't mean they can't find a bottom eventually, but so many of them just keep bleeding out. Like, look at this. Even this got a daily higher high, and then, actually, let's just clear this completely off. Let's see what we got. Mark out the couple. Well, this probably has weekly. Let's mark out a couple important areas that I see. I mean, look at that. That weekly level overlap perfectly with the daily level here. I'm going to get rid of that one. Perfect overlap there. Now, here was the bottom. This was your daily demand. we've traded below that. It's trying to recapture. Like that was the bottom of your daily range. The daily range was massive, and it took a long time to get down into here. And when it did, like you had a first tag that got a decent reaction, but since then it's just been slowly bleeding down more and more. So let's take a look and see what we've got here. Like if I'm really looking for, the swing high, so we'll get rid of this now. If I'm really looking for the swing high of this daily range, the unfortunate thing is it's all the way up here. This is your daily range. Oh, it's even this one here. It's lower, which is a massive range. Not very helpful, right? That's your daily range. With supply right here, which we haven't even come up into yet. But there's your supply that it hasn't come up into. It's tagged the bottom of this swing level here. Which at one point, that was the swing low. And then there was a lower low created below it, even though this was the one we were looking for. It's come pretty close up into that supply though. But let's take a look. Like what could we be looking for as a reason to go long? Well, there was a range that's closed above, like an interim range. I think we're gonna have to go down to lower time frames on this one to try and see if you're looking for a trigger to get in, what that would be. Let's take a look at H12. Okay. So H12, you did have a trigger to go long. I don't know if you guys can see it, but as soon as it closed above there, look at how well this respected it too. You had an H12 higher high, which came down into demand. You now have a new H12 higher high. But it hasn't. Is this the same level? No. Where's the swing low? Is there a different? No, your swing low's there. Okay. There's your H12 demand based off of it breaking that. It hasn't tagged it. So there's a chance if it comes down into here, like right here, I would say there's no trade because you're so close to supply. Like you're going to buy here and it's going to come here and sell off on you, like probability wise. So I would say the trade you're looking for is something to come into here on H12. Here's the bottom of your range. This is potentially the top of your range. We don't know yet. There's like, maybe this candle does actually come up into here before coming down and making a swing high. We don't know yet. But I don't think buying here is a strategy because you're like, what if it just gets here and it tags supply and then that's where it decides to sell off from. Your risk reward is quite low here. Unless you're going in with enough size that a 12% move or whatever that was. Yeah, 12% move is worthwhile to you. I mean, it's still on if fees are near non-existent. Okay, H4, you had a trigger. H4, you had a trigger right there. There was your H4 demand. As I outlined earlier in the stream, why I incorporate the higher high break level as part of demand is because so often you're just going to get a quick tag of that without coming into the order block style demand on chain. This is why after so much time on chain, I've adapted my system to be a little bit different than what you're used to at other places, because this happens so often. And on an H4 move, you got your tag down into here. Almost a 30% move so far up into here. You know, you're getting a 40, maybe 50% move. That's a better trade. That could have been taken, but we're a little bit late to that now. Like here's the bottom of your H4 range. Here's the top of your H4 range right now. I think what you'd be looking for, there's two things are either going to occur here. Either this is going to stab up into here, potentially making an H4 higher high, but on higher time frame, H12, whatever, this be a top before it comes back down to where we don't know yet. Or it sweeps this, which would tell you, okay, bottom of the H4 range, much more likely, or it's just going to start to come back down into here and actually give you the H12 tag into demand, which overlaps H4. I hope through outlining this stuff, you guys can see that it's all just fractals and trend within a trend, counter trend within trend. Like all the chart is all price action is fractals of different time frames. The same things occur, and you're looking for the same triggers. But to like rewind this out a little bit, on daily, you're still very much in a bearish trend. And the last time daily flipped bullish, it flipped bearish again. All right. So long term, there isn't quite a trade here yet. Short term, H4, you're late to that trade right now. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. On H4, even if you get a close above this, I think because it's so late to this move from here to here, and your stair steps, like look, you had H4 stair steps here, right? Like where was the lowest point there? So H4, close above, there's your demand, came in and tagged it. New higher high. H4, into demand, tagged it. Stair step higher, into demand, tagged it. How many H4 steps do you have before that counter trend flips back to realign with the higher time frame trend? Each step higher, you're getting a little bit closer to the end of that sequence on lower time frame until the higher time frame flips. Now you can say, well, I think the higher time frame is going to flip. Okay. Here is not the place to be trying to catch that, though. That would have been if you were actively monitoring this coin and you saw you had an H4 flip. It's so minuscule in here, but you can see, look, 15.13 mil was the swing, was the high there, 15.14, 15.12. So this actually was a swing high that created the lower low when they closed. See, this candle closed below these lows. You got a higher high. You had your demand here. So unless you're catching step one, step two even, when you're getting into steps 3 and 4, like you're so late into that counter trend that you might as well just wait either for a flush back down or for the higher time frame trend to flip and then try and catch that momentum wave. Whereas here, yes, the high time frame could very well flip, but there's a higher probability that it comes into the supply and at least comes back down somewhere here. So you can be buying lower, most likely below your entry. Does that make sense to everyone who's watching right now? We've got 11 of you guys. Amazing. Good to see you guys. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys watching. The layered approach there and the fractals. And it becomes a lot of boxes. But as you're, when you're trading this thing live, as these things unfold, you should be marking these things out, right? Like, it does take time with the charts. It does take being actively monitoring them. But what you could do is, say you saw that occur. Well, then you either set a limit order somewhere in there, or you set an alert, a price-based alert, that it's come down into an area where you're thinking about doing business. If you're not monitoring actively, limits can be tricky, because there could be any number of things that for some reason sends a token price tumbling, more so than trading TradFi instruments. Like on-chain, we're susceptible to so many different reasons, like rugs, hacks, FUD, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the longer token has been around, the less likely it's going to outright rug, although this looks very much like a time-based rug. No, I don't want to get rid of all that. I don't want to get rid of all that. Just want that. So I think, what was it? It was H12 that we said. I would be looking on H12 to get, where's the bottom of it? Was it there? No, it was here. There's your H12 demand. I would be looking for something down deeper in the demand than buying here. Okay. Shitcoin, how are we doing on time? 1 hour and 11. Okay. I think we'll be able to wrap this up in the next 20 minutes. Do an hour and a half stream, which would be nice. Whoa. Okay. So this was that pre-sale coin, I'm pretty sure. I have not looked at this chart, as indicated by the fact that my volume bars are those ugly red and green colors. Okay. Daily, there isn't really much to go off. I wouldn't really account for this wick, or I wouldn't analyze based off of that wick. I do see this daily swing. Oh, wrong tool. I do see this daily swing low right here. So let's call this our daily range right now. And there's no demand there on daily, but H12 probably does. Yeah. Were any of those? Let's just take a look and see if we had a wick anywhere. No. So this was your H12 demand within a daily, but also similar H12. The H12 and daily range is the same. There was your higher high, closed above there. And why did I say disregard this? Well, this was pre-sale. You can't really do anything with this. You can't analyze based off of that, other than say the bullish thing of fill the wick, which maybe it does. So far, it's come down into here and it's giving you a reaction. I want to see. Okay. What would I be looking for on this? Like, maybe you get a sweep down into there again. I don't know. Like, for continuation, you need to start seeing a close above here. Above that for a higher high. And then look for a higher low. Right now, what's that phrase that I've told you guys before? You don't really want to diddle in the middle of a range. And in terms of a range, well, we're almost dead in the middle. There's your midpoint right there, 8.56 million. Like, we're almost dead in the middle. So it's come down and just retested the middle of the range. If you want to be aggressive and say, okay, I got a middle of the range tag, and I think that's going to hold. But based off of this daily range that we've outlined, realistically, you're looking for the bottom third as an optimal trade entry. meaning that your risk to reward is skewed, that your reward is higher than your risk. That's really what, to simplify down risk to reward and where to find an optimal trade entry is you want the risk to be minimized, but the reward of it to be maximized. And so the bottom third of a range is where that occurs. I think what you kind of want to see, if you don't get that higher high to buy a higher low somewhere here, is for it to actually come back down deeper into the demand again, even though it's done that already. Like maybe you get some sort of, let's just take a look here. What do I see? Could this be reliable at all? I don't really love it. There's not enough data to go off for that particular meme line. Ideally, you're buying somewhere down in here with the thought that, okay, it's going to try and make an attempt higher. At the moment, sorry, 1 second. I just see a message that came in that I just want to check real quick. Sorry. Whoa, okay. There's a coin that just launched with pretty high liquidity. I'm just going to switch tabs for a second. You guys can take a look and see what it is that I'm seeing. I just had an alert come in. So I'm just taking a look at the token that was, it wasn't a ChainEDGE alert, but it's an alert that I got from somewhere else. I mean, look at that liquidity. It's almost as high as the market cap. Potentially has a lot of clog though. I can't check that on deck screen. I'd have to go somewhere else to do that. I don't want to disrupt the stream. But if anyone wants to do a little bit of research into this, just look on deck screen right now. The ticker is DOG, and it has just under 200K market cap with 124K of liquidity. It's got 26 ETH in the lick pool, which is pretty good, I would say, especially as a starting liquidity. I think it's the message said it started with 10 ETH liquidity. You guys might want to look into that. I would take a look to see what the clog is. And once clog is done selling, and what clog is tokens that weren't deposited into the liquidity pool that were held in a contract by the deployer that gets sold at intervals until the clog gets cleared. Okay. You guys might want to take a look at that for anyone that is live right now. Okay, we'll come back to this. And in fact, here, what I'll do is no, guys, I'm not endorsing the coin by any means. I have zero research on it. There's the ticker if anyone wants to take a look. I am not endorsing the coin by any means, just so you know. It's called DOG. It's on Ethereum. I would highly recommend looking at what the clog is, though. Okay. Let's see what we could look for. Lower time frame on this. Okay, so lower time frame on this particular coin, on shit. I'd be looking in there. If you get an H4 bounce in there, which brings you back into the demand. Not quite the bottom third. It's still kind of midpoint, but you could be looking for something there. Let's move along. Actually, one more thing I'll do. Let's just see what the fibs are saying on the overall of this. Okay, well, look at that. 786. It's tough to really use that as you're defining, right? Like, I don't love using those sort of initial scam wicks, but then if we even do that, look, it came back down into the pocket. Perfect pocket tag, actually, before going up. And it also gave you an H4 higher high, which is what we're dealing with there. So maybe that's your demand that you're looking for in H4 is right here. Maybe that's your trade. Okay, moving along. Galaxy Gas. This is that. It's ridiculous that people are huffing this stuff. But anyways, kids these days, the kids these days, they're into all that crazy shit. Becoming an old man. Okay, what do I see? H12 demand right here. Actually, I want to outline that. No, I want this back. There we go. There's your higher high on H12. It's come into demand. Bottom of your range is all the way down here. That's where the swing low is. That created the higher high. There's your H12 range. H4. Excuse me. It looks as though H4 broke. Let's zoom in. Did H4 make a lower low? No, it held it. 1.5 hours to go. This may end up actually back up above here if it does. If not, and it makes a lower low, then deeper into the H12 demand is more likely. But for now, yes, it's below the H4 range low at the moment. Had one sweep. Oh, look, you're starting to get a reaction. But with that tag into H12, if this H4 closes back above here, that is very bullish. Now, you could have taken a trigger just off of it tagging the H12 demand in here. I mean, bullish chart. Let me throw a fib on this, see what it's doing. It's at the pocket right now. A lot of the time, though, on Solana memes, you'll get the 786. So something else to be on the lookout for. Bullish chart, though. Moving along, I think I had a request for Rocky. Oh, just following up on that dog token. Starting to get some movement on it. I think when I first pulled it up, it was somewhere here. Maybe even down here. It's 2x already. 2x already. Okay, let's come back over here to Rocky. So this one had been on the attention dash for a while on ChainEDGE. Really strong out the gate, and then it's just slow bled down ever since. I've seen some chatter of it on the timeline recently. People being like, oh, Rocky's back. Rocky's back. Rocky's back. Well, what do I see right here? Here's your daily range. Bearish daily range. Ooh, okay. So we did. Where was the swing low of that? Was that there? No. Okay. So you got a daily close below. Now, such a quick reaction like that could actually just be considered a sweep, but you did get the daily close below, which made this your range. If it closes above here on daily, it's back into bullish. The only thing that I see, though, like this is one of those instances where you're dealing with a sort of overlapping signals. I mean, there's no denying it's starting to look more bullish, but it is right up into overhead supply. It's in the daily supply. It's rejected from there once, twice. Now it's trying to flip this level though. I think if this gives you that daily close above, I think you can eliminate this as supply, and then you can start to say, okay, where would I be looking for demand? Oh, it came so close to it here too. Where would I be looking for this to flip demand? Like there's the bottom of, there would be the bottom of your range. Maybe somewhere down into here. Like, yeah, I've said before, like you can incorporate that. It's, I don't really love that though in this particular case. I think if it closes above this, you look for something here. If it closes above this, I would say you're definitely game back on. Showing signs of being like, but we're a little bit late now. Let's take a look. What could you have done on lower time frame? Okay. So on H12, you could have flipped bullish there, but you had no, it didn't come back down into demand once, which is pretty strong. That's a pretty good signal that it's got some strength. I mean, for a token that's 2 months old, still has over 1 million in volume. That's pretty good. It's just a rock. But as soon as you closed above there on daily, or sorry, on H12, we're gonna have to switch to even lower time frame to see how could we have caught, like this one was tough because it just sent. I guess if you're seeing, okay, a violent move on a coin that has seemed dead like that for so long, there is a case to be made that you just forget about everything that happened over here and you just trade at super low time frame. Excuse me. This price action is just so unreliable. Maybe we'd say hourly. What would we have had on an hourly? Like, say you got that rip up there. Okay, there we go. Now, it didn't give you you missed all of this, but on hourly, here was a trigger here. Higher high. Creating demand. Demand tag. There's your trigger, right? Like 90% move. Oh, even more. Like you would have had to hold through this, and you're going, lose the trade, because even here, you had an hourly demand here that actually you lost over here with a close below. See right there. So your trade would have been, okay, I'm up into supply. If you were actively monitoring this in real time, it came onto your radar, you're like, oh shit, this thing's pumping. How do I get on board? There would have been your hourly trade, knowing full well that you had your daily supply up there. And look how clean that was. Clip that level. The fact that we've closed above that on hourly is showing a willingness to want to go higher though. Like, what do we have here? Okay. Excuse me. If it can hold this, maybe it goes higher on H1 and flips that level. I don't want to recommend that because it's so close to here. I'd rather, if that's the case, you just wait for daily to flip. Like if you're here and you're like, oh, I want to take this trade, Just wait for the daily to flip bullish. So you're trading with it with the trend on your side, and try and buy somewhere over here. Like there's your daily. Say we get this bullish close here above this swing level. I'd be looking for a daily move back down into here for a higher low. Sorry, I know that was a lot of fast moving parts that occurred there on this one. But that's what I'd be looking for. Get this daily close. Like taking this trade now feels really late. It's already like from here, it did an 80% move from all the way down here off the very low, almost a 200% move, 185% move. Like, yes, we're very far away from all-time highs. And maybe this is the reverse occurring before it does that. Let's outline some of those. I mean, maybe that's the reverse taking place. But given probability-wise that it's still going to find some resistance in here, get this daily close here. Find your higher low, wherever that's going to be. Switch to lower time frames. Look for the higher low triggers. And then go long. Don't buy here. And then a couple hours from now, you're like, why is it down here? Because if this ends up as another sweep of this level, this supply becomes a whole lot more powerful as an indicator. Okay, moving along. Peng. Okay, it looks like one that I had. You know what? I think I got a ChainEDGE alert from this the other day, so I started outlining it already. There's a weekly level here that until it recaptures that, I wouldn't be interested in this. Like, yes, it's made a daily higher high when it closed above there, but it was right into this daily supply, ran right into this weekly level. Look how significant that level is. That I would wait for a daily close above here, which potentially would realign with a weekly close back above this level, and then you'd look for your entry. Right now, I mean, you can see how important this weekly level has been, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 moments of it being support, flip below, didn't quite get up there, but 1, 2 instances of rejection so far. I think you want the weekly to close above here with a daily close above this box. Then you've got a trade. Right now, it's not what I would be looking for. Quantum fusion. Okay, QF's looking quite bullish. Let's remove all this. Do we have weekly? Okay, we've got weekly. How old is this? We have a monthly demand there, but not enough history, so I don't think we're going to go off monthly. But you can see how once it got a monthly close above there, it's been acting as support. So on weekly, you flip that level. Okay, here's an outline of why a weekly level is so important. See, it flipped that weekly level, and now it's been acting as support. It was resistance, flipped it, now it's acting as support. Weekly demand, you kind of have this whole area as demand, so it's not very useful. Here's your daily. Where's your daily demand? Okay, your swing level is pretty low on this. Like, you know, your daily swing range low is down here. Daily range high is here. Midpoint is like almost exactly where the weekly level is. It's a little bit above there. So you're getting a pocket tag on that daily range. It's held. Stabbed it twice. Solid reactions. I don't think, well, look at that. You did actually get a daily demand tag. Look at that. You had two tags and the daily demand sweeping the weekly level. Pretty bullish indicators. You know, this is probably going to send higher, just given these reactions. It's tough to buy here. You know, maybe what happens is you just get a sweep here of this, and then it comes back down. We don't know. Right now, it looks very bullish. If you're in this, you hold. If you're trying to get on board, if for some reason we get a major flush in the market and you get another test of this daily demand area, if you can get anywhere in here, you're laughing. I mean, it's a clearly bullish chart and holding that weekly level. Another trigger would be, you know, getting a daily close above here. Then we look to buy somewhere here. We're in a bit of a weird spot on a lot of these charts because they're sort of in between the range, and the trades have already sort of unfolded. So didn't pick the best day from these chart perspective wise to stream because the trades are already mid trade and it's kind of difficult to get on board them from where they are. Okay, that was the extent of that list, but I do see there was a bunch. I do see that there's a bunch in the AFM Telegram channel. We're at an hour and a half, a little over an hour and a half. I kind of want to wrap this up soonish, but we'll take a quick look. Let me just see. There's a comment here. Rocky didn't actually close below on Photon, so the daily range is still bearish over there. Which platform do you trust? It didn't close below which on Photon? Like, let me just pull Rocky back up here. It didn't close below. Didn't close below which? This? It didn't close below this level. Is that what you're saying here? Just waiting for a response there from Radu. Is this what you were saying? It never closed below here. So this is still the bearish range. Well, that's why this overhead supply is still important. But I think if you do get a close above that and you flip that, you'd be looking for a higher low in here. Like, the analysis is still, because I've mentioned before, like if you get a clear range forming, even within the range, if you start getting a clear, another level becomes pretty clear as important, given, you know, 1, 2 times it's test that level after it put in that swing level. So hopefully that's what you were saying, was that this on Photon didn't close below here. I mean, I would, if I'm actively trading this, I'm trading the chart in front of me. So if Photon is saying that it didn't close below there, that's what I would be looking at. I don't think this is, like, the whole market isn't focused on this, which means that people are most likely taking a look at this on Deck Screener over Photon. But like I said, like I still consider that an important level, this whole supply zone, because this is the supply. It never, even with this lower low here, there was no supply here on daily, right? The supply was always up here. I see someone, LOLs, said check Doge again, see if it is filled. Let's take a quick look. Didn't quite tag it. It's threatening to lose this H4 level here. You got 16 minutes to go until the H4 candle close. But if this ends as a sweep, you didn't quite get that tag, which is unfortunate that it didn't get the H12 tag. But if this closes as a sweep, there could be a trigger to go long. At the very least on this H4 range, with your trade thesis being range low, range high. And then see what happens up here. If it flips that on H4, then you hold. If it just gets there, starts to sweep, maybe you think about cutting. If this closes below on H4, then we have our new H4 range, and we do look for this tag down into here. It hasn't quite given it yet. Would have really loved for it to come down and tag that H12, which is probably, you have buyers stepping in manually here, but there wasn't limit orders being triggered down there. It doesn't look like, because you only got an 8% move. Oh, Radu says thank you. So hopefully that was what you were looking at. Okay, let's take a look. There's a few more that came in the chat. Got Lucy. Let's take a look. We'll add these in. We had Lucy. Someone requested Landwolf on Ethereum. Let's add that in there. Someone messaged, go live, you're an hour late. I wasn't an hour late. I was on Eastern Standard Time, not on Eastern Daylight Time. There's a difference. Oh, and then someone said he's been live for an hour. What the fuck? And then he said, never mind. Sorry, guys. I'm just reading the Astrology for Men chat and just getting caught up. And then the last request was SCF. Okay, so there's only 3 more requests. We can get through all those, and then we'll power down. And by the way, who was it that was asking in the chat? Eyes of a Siren. Apologies. Eyes of a Siren. If you're watching now, these are always available as recorded on YouTube, so you can always watch it again in the future. I do recommend that you put it on at minimum 1.25 speed so that I'm not talking so slow. And I find on 1.25 speed, you can still catch all the nuance and understand everything that's going on and the reasoning for why I'm analyzing things the way that I am, but it's not boring as fuck. Okay. I mean, people that are here watching these consistently, they're probably like me. Like when I was learning how to chart, I would consume any and everything. From a learning standpoint of guys that I trusted their analysis and I respected their analysis and I respected them as traders. Like Big Cheds, watched a lot of his stuff. Trader Man, I've watched a lot of his stuff. Trader XO, Crypto Cred, Trader Dante, like these guys. I would watch just hours and hours and hours. And like when the streams, like, because they become sort of like your buddies that you're just hanging out with. And it becomes like not a comfort thing, but it's just like this like classroom sort of vibe. And I enjoyed long streams, but I know for some people, they just want the information to get the fuck going. So I'm going to stop rambling, stretching this out, and we'll just move along. So the 3 that were added were Smoking Chicken Fish, Lucy, and Landwolf on Ethereum. We'll start with the highest volume, Smoking Chicken Fish. So this was a meme line that I drew last stream, maybe even the stream before that. Interesting to see that it's respecting the meme line. Didn't fully tag it, but it came pretty darn close. I believe last stream when I drew that, I was like, maybe it comes back up into here. We'll see. And then there it did. It's pretty funny. So, Smoking Chicken Fish. We initially had the breaker outlined. this area here as demand, as the breaker, which it broke below. It broke below on H4, and I said, okay, if that happens, we're going to look into the actual demand zone, which it did. It tagged. But has since retraced a bunch. And it looks to me, well, it's so close. Did it sweep it? No. It would have been great if it swept that. Maybe it does still, because then there's your next trigger to go long. I had a discussion with a buddy of mine about a week ago about this coin, where I had said, maybe this just becomes a Harambe type coin, where it gets these pumps, gets everyone excited, and then it just, I don't know. I'm not here to say one thing or another. It struck me as one of those type of plays that it's got such a fervent community of bag holders. I mean, there's people that have, believe me, there's people that bought this that are now down here. There's people that sold as well, and people that sold this clearly, but there are people that have bought here that are now here. Just remember that. Like, are you a trader or are you an investor? If you're an investor, what is your long-term thesis on a meme coin? I'm bullish on memes as a sector, 100%, but you have to ask yourself, what is your end game? Like, are you trying to be a long-term community member, or are you trying to make money? Because these are just monetary instruments to speculate on. Just don't become a community member. It's not the vibe that we're trying to cultivate in this channel. Anyways, so you ended up getting that H4 close below. I believe on the last stream is where we were talking about it. You know, I was like, believe we were here. I believe this is where we were. And I said, if you get the H4 close below here, then this tag into here is more likely. Now, you had an H4 close above, which flipped it back to bullish. With the demand, it didn't quite even tag the demand. Sorry. It's very minor. So look, here was your swing high that created the low, creating a lower low on H4. Got a close above. You didn't quite get a tag into demand though. But then you went on to make another higher high in H4, slamming right into the, look at that. Look at that. Wow. I mean, I do say meme lines aren't as reliable because they are open into interpretation, but when you've sat with a chart long enough, you can sort of get an understanding of where and why you would place a meme line as you do. I mean, that was on the money. Sorry, I don't mean to be a clout whore there, but like, oof. Okay, look at that. Even on H4, you did actually get that sweep into that level that we were watching on daily. It's so weird monitoring on different time frames how sometimes things line up or not. Like, look, on daily, it didn't wick it. H4 it did. I think what I'd really be wanting on this, just given we can see how important this trend line is being, is you want the trend line to flip, the close on the outside of it, and then you try and buy somewhere over here into this demand here. If that ends up becoming demand. Like, yes, you had a sweep here, so you had a trigger to go long. You had a trigger to buy right there. Now, if this daily starts coming back down and closes below, then I think you get the bottom of the range. Major starting to sell off a little bit again. But I think you could be in this trade right now. I don't like this. That's a nasty wick on H4. As it came up into this H4 supply, right? Because we lost structure on H4 there. Like, let's break this down piece by piece here, right? Like, you lost structure there. An H4, why did that lose structure? Well, because that was the low that created the high, creating a higher high above this point here. You close below, and you got up into supply. Oops. Right? Close below, up into supply, sold off lower. Now you've had a new lower low. And then what did we do again? We came up into supply on H4. Look at that, right? This is telling me that the H4 bearish counter trend to the daily bullish trend is in control at the moment. Even though we got this sweep. Because this is already unfolded and it's giving you this. Either we get one more sweep down here on daily, or you flip this on H4 as a higher high. What would be great is you get a higher high above here, which ends up somewhere here, and then you look to buy here. Maybe even over here, depending on where this all unfolds. I mean, that's quite a rejection candle there from that H4 supply. This is actually a really good example of one of the charts that I was talking about earlier, where you're in an H4 uptrend, but that counter trend is getting closer to the end of its stair stepping. Like the probability that you're buying the top of that sequence of the counter trend gets closer. What coin was that on? Maybe it was Landwolf. Yeah. Right? I was saying, okay, we're getting close on H4. Like it's done a bunch of H4 higher highs, but are we getting close to the top of that sequence? Probability wise, you are. Well, that's what's happened here, right? You were getting those H4 higher highs, but then eventually that counter trend flipped, or that trend flipped counter trend in this case. I do just wonder if smoking, like this is just conjecture and my own thoughts about smoking chicken fish. I just do wonder if it's going to be one of those coins that, you know, it's forever around. It always gets decent volume, always gets high volume, but it struggles to get back to new all-time highs. Just one of those coins that's around as a crypto mainstay that people always trade, but that's fine. You can get swing trades out of this thing, right? Like had you bought this somehow, like I don't even know what your trigger would have been here on H4 because you didn't get a demand tag, but just say you bought somewhere around here, you took a quick swing trade, pull out 40%, sell, comes back down, do it again, trying to get another 30, 40%, maybe higher. Like that's perfectly acceptable for a coin. Like you can get so locked in on one coin that all you do is you just trade that one coin. Just to bring attention back to this, I wonder if clog is flipped because look at this thing. Look at that. I don't know if any of you guys went and did any research on this thing when I brought it to your attention, but I think pull it up here. 200% move it's gotten so far. And if you're looking at this like, okay, how could I have gotten on board this when you see this unfold? When you got to close above this range, like you can see this was a range, right? Yeah. So you can see how important that level was there. As soon as you got to close above there, you'd be looking for somewhere to buy. Now it came down quite deep, and below this level here, but you could have been saying, okay, I think this whole area here is demand. Also, let's take a look. What would have happened if we threw this up here? Not a reliable trigger off the fibs. Like I generally wouldn't have been looking at a 50% retrace, but given it was so low market cap, high liquidity, like markets like high liquidity. When you get high liquidity, you get whales coming out. And I can even see over here on the alpha stream, dog, 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 right? You start getting buys coming through, dog. 39 minutes ago, you had your, like based off of the settings that I have on the alpha stream, 39 minutes ago, which would have been, we're at 50, so it would have been at 20. First buys on ChainEDGE came in just after I pulled this chart. So you pull a chart, if you get for some reason, you find alpha. Like I was saying, I had an alert that came in elsewhere on this. You get alpha, and then you start seeing buys come in. Sorry, I didn't show, right. So on this chart, the ChainEDGE alert came in here, and I pulled the chart up somewhere in this candle. So if you're getting alerts or a source of alpha somewhere, and then you're getting confluence of starting to see buys popping up of decent, like look at the size on some of these, 5K, 4K, like you're getting buys coming in on ChainEDGE. It's a pretty good signal, right? Like thick liquidity. It was already on your radar for whatever reason. You were monitoring clog. I wonder where clog is at now. I don't know. I haven't looked it up. I haven't used a bot to check on it. And I haven't, like, this was obviously, it was either bundled or sniped. Just looking at that, or possibly both, but that was a good confluence of factors right there. Like I know some people have asked me to do more stuff like that. Oh, I have a question here from Lulz, Alpha Stream. He says, what is that? Well, Alpha Stream is the live transaction feed that we have in ChainEDGE, where we're monitoring, depending on what chain you're looking at, we monitor EVM and Solana, real-time transactions that are occurring from the wallets that we track, which are the top 0.01% of profitable DEX wallets on chain, depending on which chain. So the Alpha Stream is just one of the panels that we have, one of the dashboards that we have, and it's customizable. Like you can see here, you set up your filters. We can even drill this down. Like when I wake up first thing in the morning, I put it on 12 hours to see what has occurred overnight while I was sleeping, but now we're deep into the day. So we can switch that down to 2 hours. I have the ages set up to 10 days as well. For ETH, I have greater than 501, so I can still see the sells coming in. You can drill that down even further if you just want to see what's come in that launched today. You can just put up to 24 hours so you're not bogged down. But like say you just want to trade new launches, that's the way to do it. 400K market P&L minimum for the wallets that I'm tracking. $440 buy, which is a 0.2, I think right now, which is a decent floor if you want to be getting in early. Like depending on how the market is, I'll adjust these. And at the moment, ETH is where I'm focused, and I want to be trying to get in and find things as early as possible on ETH. So I have it set pretty low. I mean, you could have that as a half ETH or an ETH, but then you're getting a little bit later signal. So here we go. And this is just the feed of transactions that are occurring in real time. Like, look, we're getting buys in this token here called pre. But we were getting a lot of buys in dog, right? Dog. Where did they start coming in? Yeah, 42 minutes ago, which we'd already pulled the chart. So like there's for anyone looking for strategy of how I do discovery and how you would fit, like the process is a little bit more in depth. Like from noticing the alert plus Alpha Stream, I would immediately go and dump the ticker into a couple bots that I have. I would load it either in Photon or Banana to be ready to buy, but also simultaneously dropping it in and doing a couple checks, like whether it was bundled, checking a few security things, although Photon's pretty good for the security. And also being able to see on ChainEDGE, I can see wallets are selling. There's a sell on dog right there. Let's get to the most current page. Like I can see dog is getting sold, dog. So I know it's not a honeypot. Pretty good signal. Like I used to do very extensive security checks. I used to use tooling that was a very obvious case of too much information, and I would just get bogged down. I'd be looking through these security scans, and every little thing would be like a reason to not buy, which is completely not the attitude to have. And that used to hamper me. So I don't really go as in-depth into the security scans anymore, especially since for the most part, I'm a short-term trader. I'm not a holder by any means. Like occasionally I'll hold something. And yes, I hold ETH, I hold SOL. But overall, like trades that I'm taking day to day are short-term. So I'm not over, like the biggest risk for me is liquidity pull or rogue. But moving quickly on something like that, where we had all that confluence of factors, if you get in somewhere in this box, like say you even bought here and you had to suffer 17% drawdown, but you were like, okay, it's still in demand, 155% move in a matter of minutes, right? Like likelihood you're going to get rugged in a situation like that. I mean, it's there, but the source of the information was high enough regarded that I knew, okay, they're not just going to rug this thing. They may sell clog or bundles into momentum, and often those tokens can just die off. But this thing had enough, like the liquidity alone and the fact that I was seeing so many buys on ChainEDGE was pretty bullish. And whales like deep liquidity because they don't want to buy a token that they can't get out a decent profit. And this thing, liquidity to market cap ratio is deep enough that there's opportunity there. I used to think higher liquidity launch coins was not great. And there was a time at which that was the case, where you were ideally looking for something that launched with like maybe maximum like 3 ETH in liquidity, like 1 to 3 ETH. But my thought process on that has evolved, and actually the higher the liquidity, to an extent, is bullish because you'll get whales coming out. But also there are times when like if the liquidity is ridiculous, you're like, okay, when is this thing actually going to rug? But the source on this was reliable enough. And okay, let's switch back over here. So that was SCF. That was smoking chicken fish. We can see we're getting a little bit more follow through. If you get another sweep of this on H4 and it closes back above, you could have another trigger there. Or if it's a daily sweep, great. I think now, given that we can see how important this trend line is behaving, I don't think it's a bad idea to wait for it to flip the other side of the trend line. Maybe it comes down into here and then flips it, and then you buy somewhere over here on a overside tag. But for now, yes, you can take the H4 trigger down here and watch for it to flip this H4 level into support. And for continuation, buying here is risky. What was the next one? We had Lucci or Lucy. Okay, what do we see here? There's hourly trend. Okay, hourly is where we have structure. Here's your hourly demand. You can incorporate that if you want as well. Why is that hourly demand? Well, there's your swing high that got broken with a higher high, forming a range. Here's your range high. Here's your range low. There was a decent signal there when it got that H1 sweep that it was probably going to come down. You're looking for a higher low to form in here. Now that's a fairly tame pullback by Solana standards. Let's also incorporate, show you where there's the higher high break right there. If we throw a fib up, let's take a look. So it hasn't tagged the pocket, and the 786 is all the way down here. It could very well just be very bullish and continue from here. We just see so often that Solana coins love fibs. And given the bottom of this range is so close to the pocket, that's something that I'd look for. I also wouldn't rule out the 786, which I know people look at that and go, oh my God, that's such a, but like we see it unfold so many times on Solana that it tags a 786 and then it sends. There's nothing saying that it can't. And like one mentality to take as well is like the lower you can buy, the lower your risk, because you can cut much quicker than say you're up here and then you're like, oh, it lost that, but then maybe it's going to tag this. And then like mentally and psychologically, people just hold because they're like, well, maybe then it's going to, but then maybe it just gets there and it does nuke. Right. But for now, we're looking at this demand. It's an hourly demand. Would love it if it actually got a reaction off the pocket. Say a sweep of that would be a good trigger. It front ran it, which I don't love. That was a massive selling wick there. So maybe selling is exhausting here. Another area you could look at would be around here, even though you don't have a swing low, but then that's so close to the 786 that I would just think that's going to tag the 786. And let's go down to M15. What do we have? Yeah, we have a cluster right here on M15. So maybe that's what it's going to target. Like that's a small cluster, but maybe that's what it targets on M15 if it doesn't hold this. Okay, what was the last one? Was Landwolf on Ethereum. What are we doing? Oh, we've reached the 2-hour limit. Not limit, but we've reached the 2-hour timing. I don't know how, but these tend to always just be 2 hours. Okay, let's wrap this one up quickly because I want to finish up and I don't want to hold you guys much longer. I know it's the middle of the day on a Wednesday. I do want to send you off with some actionable analysis that you can do something with. Still got 9 of you guys here. Amazing. Thank you so much. Appreciate you all, as always. Okay, so let's just remove all this stuff and see what we got going on here. Let's see. Okay. We had a weekly. We have weekly demand in here. The weekly swing level. It's tagged weekly demand. Getting some of a reaction here. If we switch down to daily, so daily had been in bearish. Let's see what the most recent. Okay. So what do I see right now? This was your daily bearish range. Has it flipped this range yet? No. Okay. So here is your daily range. Why is this the range? Well, you had a daily close below that previous lower low, creating a new fresh lower low. This was the high that created the low, making a lower low. There's your daily range. It's come to the top of the range, swept it. Probability is you're going to see something down into here. If it flips this on daily with a higher high, then you have a trend reversal aligning with the weekly. Like at the moment, daily is counter trend to weekly being bullish. Now, weekly is the higher time frame signal. And, you had a good reaction there just from that symbol tag, that weekly area. You got a 230% move, but now it's back down to it. Now you want the trend to flip in your favor. Because you can see here, this move here. Oh, was that? Okay. So you did actually have a daily bullish flip and then it lost it. What date was this? Beginning of August. This was a month ago. I can't remember if that was when we had that massive, like, was this that? Oh, August 5th. This was the big flush on majors. At least one of the recent ones. A lot of chop in here. You could be looking for something to form in here, but realistically, until it flips this range on daily back to bullish, the better trigger is down here. Possibly even with one more tag into the weekly. Yeah, those are your two triggers. Sweep down into here, tag into weekly without a close below on daily. You don't want a lower low. You want it to hold that level, or you flip this, get a higher high, and then you look to buy somewhere over here. So you'd be buying somewhere similar to here, except you'd be buying with trend. Right now, buying here, you're in a daily bearish trend that swept the top of the range. There's a high probability that it wants to go back to the bottom of the range. And take a look on lower time frames. I mean, you're still in H4 bullish. Like, there's your H4 demand. But with that, like, sweep, deeper sweep, close below, doesn't even tag it there. With selling, like, looks like sellers are, more than willing to step in there. So I would wait and not look at that H4 trigger, truthfully. Okay. Any other questions before we wrap up? Got 10 of you guys live. I do appreciate you guys showing up for these streams. It's really gives me confidence to keep putting out this content, knowing that you guys are learning something from it. I do want to grow the channel though, so it would be wonderful if you are learning stuff from me to go ahead and share the channel with people that you know that might be interested. Subscribe to the channel, like the videos, join the AFM Telegram group. Let me pop over here. Let's do a couple things here. Let's bring up. There we go. Remove that. And we'll do all those things. We'll bring up the banners. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoy what it is that I'm doing here. Without your support, there's no growth in the channel, which means that this channel doesn't grow. Sounds simple enough, I know. But without growth, then there's really no point to this, to keep this up. Yes, I do enjoy relaying information and knowledge, but I do want to get this channel booming, so I can try and bring in some revenue to the channel. So if you could like, subscribe, and comment and share with anyone you think that would find value in what it is that I'm doing, that is always appreciated. Don't forget to subscribe to the dailyedge.com/subscribe if you haven't yet. It's the daily newsletter full of actionable intel, insights, and knowledge from On-Chain Wizard, relaying the information of the past day that's occurred on chain in terms of flows, attention, various events that occurred, things that are driving markets. Again, that's a free daily newsletter, and it's a great companion to ChainEDGE, where if you don't have all day to be monitoring the market, gets you up to speed real quick on what's been occurring. And just a reminder that we are brought to you by ChainEDGE, ChainEDGE.io, which is the on-chain analytics platform, taking a look in real time at on-chain flows of the top 0.01% of DEX wallets. We monitor holdings. We monitor buys and sells. We monitor trends. We monitor attention. We just incorporated a brand new dashboard yesterday that if you want to look into what buyers of 2 tokens that had done really well in the past, at the moment it's a set grouping of tokens that you can select through, but you pick the 2 tokens that you're interested in. Okay, what were early buyers of this token buying recently? It'll show you where their flows have been directed and in what amount, in dollar cents. As well, in the description, you'll be able to find links to our X accounts for the Daily Edge, for ChainEDGE, for myself, 0xRapture, for Onchain Wizard. You'll also be able to find links for the Telegram channel for the Daily Edge. You'll be able to find a link for the Telegram group for Astrology for Men, which is where all the chart requests take place beforehand, and as well give analysis on coins in there as well, either by request, or I'll just put in updates of coins that we've been monitoring, where I'll post setups as they're unfolding. You'll also find links to ChainEDGE. There's also a ref code in there for, I believe it's 10% off your lifetime subscription. And if you do appreciate what I'm doing here and you're looking for a new trading terminal, there is my ref link for bullish. It's not an endorsement. It's not a personal affiliation with bullish, but it is a great platform. So that came out wrong. Not that it's not an endorsement. What it is not an affiliation. It's just my personal ref link. And anyone who uses the ref link gets 10% off fees. Plus, it puts a little bit of kickback into my pocket, which helps sustain the channel and grow the channel. And the platform's great. A lot of really great sort of limit strategies that you can run through it based off of different percentage you want to take. A TP strategy, you can set up stop losses, all those sort of things. And it's overall a great platform. Again, the link for my ref is in the description below. Just want to take a look and see if we have any other comments. Moonar says, thanks, boss. Appreciate it. Hermit says, thanks for the stream. Great info as always. Lowell says, oh, nice. I want to try that. I think that was in relation to ChainEDGE. Give it a shot. You also get access to the ChainEDGE private Discord when you do that, where there's a group of great people that are using the platform day in and day out. If you have any questions and want to learn strategies and whatnot, we're all in there. Yeah. Again, I want to thank you all. And on that, as always, we'll ride out to some music. Thanks to everyone who joined. Appreciate you all. This has been Astrology for Men, episode 7. It's debatable, given the debate last night. And it's debatable whether this election is going to be bullish for crypto or not. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Ciao.